worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome. This is Millennium TV, Cap and No Cap. We're finally back. Thank you for being here. I'm with my illustrious co-host, Mr. Andy King, community organizer, man who never abandoned his community. Man who never will abandon his community. How you doing, man?
I'm wonderful. God bless you, good brother.
Haven't been on here for about 2 months. It feels really good. So, you know, I've been on a hiatus because I've been doing a lot of veteran work, and I've been working with vets to actually make sure, you know, that homelessness in veterans is great, you know, just nationwide, but here in New York City as well. And so I'm trying to identify these veterans that are homeless and try to give them resources that they need, you know. So that was, you know, that kind of took a little toll on me. I had to make sure that my veteran brothers and sisters were good because they gave us, all of them, the least I could do is, you know, put a clock on and press time out and give them all of me and try to, you know. So, you know, it's funny because I was like on, I think 59th Street, and I had my mask on and I'm waiting for the I think it was the D train. And as the train pulls up, right, I think it was a F train that came or something like that. It wasn't my train. I was waiting for the D. And I have on the mask. He goes, "Oh man, you the guy from Cap or No Cap?" And I was like, "Oh wow!" I felt like a celebrity. I can't make this up, man. I felt like a superstar. I was like, "I don't believe this, man."
Well, congratulations! I mean, you're doing something right.
Doing something right? So people are watching. So whoever's out there watching, I really do thank you. What's been going on with you?
Hey, just been staying active, staying busy in the neighborhood, in the community, helping out our children. We just recently did our Sharing is Caring, the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program that my wife and I, neighbor Sheila for King, we started 15 years ago in our in our living room with about 20 families, kids. We didn't even know half of them. We just said, let's do something just to help somebody's neighbor, their community, help their holiday season be that much more brighter.
That's great.
From there, it grew, and we're still 15 years in with a nice hot meal for kids. They danced, they jumped, they played, they got winter coats, they got gifts, you know, and it was just a joyful time to watch smiles on the faces of those young children.
That's so amazing, man. So where did you have it at?
We did it at UG, powered by Ultimate Grill on East Gun Hill Road.
Oh, that's that West Indian restaurant, right?
They got
good food, bro.
Rasta pasta,
man.
Though. You don't know, you're going to find
that
out.
That food is slamming. Yes, that food.
So,
shout out to them.
Yes, Michelle, the owner, Michelle and her husband. Want to thank the parents for being community, black-owned business that actually gives back to the black business community. I'm not saying others don't, but there are so many businesses that reside in neighborhoods who just look to take, and don't put back. They are one small business that definitely puts back.
You're absolutely right, because I tell people this all the time. The economic, the growth or the body of a community lies in the businesses. That's the economics. So if you ever notice, even in black neighborhoods, you ever notice everyone's doing, if the hood is so broke and we're so bad off. Why is everyone doing business but us in there? You know?
Exactly. That's a
Everyone's
good point.
doing
Very good
business
point.
in our community but us. So, you know, we got to get on code and kind of get our black economics up, because that's our lifeline. That's our bloodline. When you could give, you know, when you look at economics in different communities, in the Asian communities, that dollar bounces around maybe 15 times. In the Jewish community, may bounce around 20 times. In the Hispanic community, might bounce around 7 times, or maybe even 4. But in the black community, the second you spend your money, it's gone. It's out of your community. So we gotta, you know, we talk about this whole ideology of building back better. Sometimes to build back better, you got to see what you didn't build on.
Right. Yeah, you're so true. Reverend Grammy mentioned we were having conversations.
And shout out to Reverend Grammy.
About when we was doing a conversation about the reset. You know, and get stuff started back up again. He says, well, do we really want to reset back to where we were?
No.
Because there were a lot of people, and we'll talk about the communities of the black community, the Hispanic community. Again, for me, as I always say, if you black in America, that means you're Puerto Rican, Dominican, Haitian, Jamaican, Trinidadian, you know, Montserrat kids, you know, wherever that is. But in America, these are the rules of engagement. And do we really want to go back to a place that we're always fighting for economic empowerment? We're fighting for economic equity, or we're fighting for school equality, or we're fighting for employment services that work well for us. Are we fighting for the same amount of food, good food that fed our neighbors? Now, and I saw a story the other day about the stuff in McDonald's is not real food. Right. It's not real healthy food. So I'm saying, but we get marketed to all this stuff to do all the worst things, get the worst things, and I put in our neighborhood. But do we really want to go back to that?
Right.
Or what do we really want to go back? How do we want to do a reset and start life all over and differently? That everyone's empowered and everyone is playing on the same equal field, whether it's law enforcement treatment or just how the rules of engagement are for us all. And I do want to give a shout out to you.
No, thank you.
You asked what else happened last week. We did a veterans piece.
Yeah.
We honored a number of veterans and surprised him with an award. He didn't know what to do with himself. But
I wasn't expecting it. I appreciate that, man. I really do. Thank you.
Yeah, for all the work
you know, it's crazy because when you do this kind of work, you don't, and you do it from a sincere place. You don't look for nothing. So when you were right. I'm like, well, who would you hurry up and give this last award? Who you talking to? Not knowing you were talking about me. You know what I mean? So after you mentioned me, I was like, oh wow, you got me. Yeah, I am a vet. You know?
That's right. Exactly.
I'm a war vet on top of that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I appreciate that. You know, we did the Black Veterans Recognition Awards, and I thought it was really good. It was really good. There's a lot of love in the room. My CEO came out. Shout out to Ms. McClinton and Jelani Mashariki, who is the vice president of shelter operations. They came out as well, and they said the food. I don't know if they've ever been there, but they said, "Oh man, those oxtails were everything." You know, so you know, we had a great time, man. We honored the seniors, which is very important. You know, I don't know do you remember? I think it was last year. Was it last year? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it last year or the year before? We did that veteran piece where we were giving out men's coats and clothing to. Right. Was it last year or 2 years ago?
It was 2020. It was 2020.
It was 2020,
It
right?
was 2020, and during this time, November of 2020, I believe.
November 2020, yeah. And I know Iran Barkley came out, and Rob Garris, and you know, and they all came out. He brought his barber chair, his barber truck, and he was out there giving out. I would like to do something like that. Maybe we could do something, because Black History Month is coming, and one of the things that I just always talk, it's just the way it is. They give us the same 4 or 5 black people to look at every year for Black History Month. Yeah. Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X,
Pick one, Harriet Tubman.
Yeah, Harriet Tubman and Barack Obama.
He's made the list now.
You know what I mean? So that's the list, you know. And you know, it's been so much more that we should be celebrating. And even with the Black Veterans Recognition Awards, we, you know, Recognize TV actually filmed it, but I'm not going to release that until probably February.
Okay.
And because as a Black History piece. But what I'm going to do, because I didn't have a lot of entertainment. Actually, we didn't have no entertainment. We didn't need none either.
True.
I had a great time. But I do want to mash entertainment, an entertainment event together. And I'm thinking about doing this thing called the Black Veteran Project.
So we might need some help.
Yeah, pretty much. But I might do it at the Triad. The Triad. You've been to the Triad Theater.
I am.
One time.
Yeah.
You came one time
Yes,
when Nene was a wee bit.
Yeah,
she was
that's right.
and Talal Macy. You know. So I'm thinking about doing 2 R&B artists, 2 classic hip hop artists.
Okay.
I got low tolerance for this new rap, bro. You want to see me? You want to see me?
I was like, what is he saying?
Yeah, man. You want to see me screaming pain? Put on T-Pain. So, and probably a comedian, clean comedian or something like that. And I probably just want to raise funds for a veteran organization. And I guess, charity starts at home. So I'll just probably do it for my organization. Actually take that footage and mix it with the award ceremony and release that in February. But January 3rd.
Yes.
So what I'm really realizing is that a lot of vets are very disparaged, and I'm doing this thing called VSO. And which is VSO really stands for Veteran Service Officer, but I'm kind of playing on the acronym. And January 3rd, I'm going to do this thing called Veterans Speak Out, and we're going to galvanize veterans from all walks of life into 161st Street. I guess that's the Supreme Court building.
Bronx County.
That's the Bronx Supreme Court.
Yeah, right. Yeah, County Courthouse.
County Courthouse.
Right.
So I'm thinking about doing that, and having everyone come there and we could talk about veteran issues. Before we get into that, I'm gonna jump into a real quick commercial break. And then and as soon as we come back from this commercial, I'll tell you what we're about to do.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna go into a quick commercial break. Don't leave us. This is Cap and No Cap. We'll be right back. Peace.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Cap or no cap. It is good to be back. So I was telling you about this Veterans Speak Out. We're doing this January 3rd. It's very symbolic of the new administration that's coming in. You have a new mayor coming in, you have a new Bronx Borough president coming in, you have a new city council coming in. And basically, I want to know, what are your intentions as it pertains to veterans that are homeless, education, housing? Like, forget New York City, forget the Bronx being gentrified, forget New York City being gentrified, forget the country being gentrified. The world is being gentrified right now, and no one's paying attention to it. And I just want to make sure that government has these veterans in mind in this reconstruction period. That's what we're going through, a reconstruction period. And you're starting to see little things like NYCHA is going to become privatized.
Right.
They're doing that in the second largest housing development right now, which is Edenwald.
Yep.
And what's your thoughts on that? What do you feel about the privatization of NYCHA?
I think the privatization of NYCHA is a way for the city to get out of managing properties that never really was there to manage, because NYCHA always felt under the federal government. And the problem that I experienced and witnessed all these conversations when I was in the council, while they were putting the blame on the mayor and the council to try to come up with funding to save NYCHA, the federal government was getting a pass, where they were the ones that took the funding out because it was a federal program all across the country. So I'm like, why are we getting beat down on the different states levels of trying to save NYCHA when we should be talking to those elected officials that were in Congress, those elected officials that were in the United States Senate, to say, fix the housing problem that you have and that you built 50, 60 years ago.
Right.
But then when you look at who's in NYCHA today compared to when NYCHA was built, here we go again talking about the essence of who America actually is. Because back then, NYCHA was full of working folks. Today's a lot of NYCHA folks who are in there, not necessarily working, but more importantly, the ethnic makeup of NYCHA today is different than it was 50 years ago. So again, it goes back to fairness, equity, and equality that a country always works in. If it doesn't make money for them, what's their next agenda to switch it so they can get the money? And so the city, they pulled out of it, and now you're privatizing it to make money. The thing is going to happen, like you mentioned about gentrification of the city of New York and the Bronx in the United States. What does happen to NYCHA? Will NYCHA look the same as it looks right now after privatization in 15 years? You know what I'm saying? Will the same residents will the same makeup of the people who live in NYCHA look the same?
Allow me to put on my, I'm gonna put on my tinfoil kufi for a second, okay? So this is my take on it. So first of all, I'm against privatization of public money, but I'm seeing it on more than just one level. And I'll give you another case point scenario. When I go into the local Dwayne Reed, I always see a police officer working in there now. What is that police officer doing in full uniform, working for a private corporation? We do not challenge anything.
True.
We are complicit with everything. Oh, that's just the way it is. And I guess I'm gonna always be that oddball. But this is what my theory of, when you ask people about the situation as it pertains to NYCHA, I believe the private sector, I forgot the name of the developer that holds the lease for Edenwald.
Right.
But whatever their name is, they have a 99-year lease.
Right.
The question becomes, what happens in the 100th year? And when you confront most residents with this, you know what they'll say?
I won't be here.
I won't be here. that speaks in two parts. That speaks to the mindset. That's something that we have to change. But second, the problem that produced it will still be here. So it might not be your child, but it would be your grand or great grandchild that's going to inherit that problem.
Yeah.
And we're not thinking that far. We only look as far as our nose. We won't go any further than that. And this is what I suspect that's what's going to happen. So say I'm a doctor and I'm married and my wife is a lawyer. We produce a child together, right? And with different ethnic group too. I mean, you're gonna say we're European. I make $200,000 a year. She makes $190,000 a year. Of course, we could never get in NYCHA, but our child is now going to host those community college, right? Because they're gentrifying our culture too. You got to watch these gentrifiers. Culture is very important. So now that child is going there, he or she is working a part-time job in Starbucks. They're not looking at my income or my wife's income, but that child makes enough money to qualify for NYCHA. That's that's what I suspect is going to happen. That's how they're going to push people out of the projects.
That's a good observation and analyzing of the situation. And I want to just touch quickly. You mentioned about folks today not looking 3 or 4 generations to be preparing for 3 or 4. Well, I go back to a time when the blacks in America, due to their enslavement, had to be together just for survival.
Right.
Now today, then when you think you got it together, you separate from the basis that got you where you are, and then now you are operating in a silo where the system picks a part of your essence, your worth, and your value, and your value system that you go up with because you've arrived somewhere.
Right.
And then now you can't figure out to come back home because you left home without any goal of trying to get back home. So I say that to all our children of color today, and I hate using the term children of color, but I'm just saying to all, and we're not a minority, okay? Let's get that out of our heads. We're not a minority. They use those terms to oppress people of color, whether you're black, Hispanic, whatever that is. They use those terms where we have the numbers, but they'll say that we are a minority. So get that out of your head. You're not a minority. But then if you don't allow yourself to understand the essence of family, the importance of family. I did a posting, I'm a star, I did a posting. I said, I don't know whether if you celebrate Hanukkah, or if you do Hanukkah, or you do Christmas, or you do Kwanzaa, or you do nothing. Do family. Right. You can never go wrong with doing family, you know? Right. But until we can figure out the essence and the importance of family and what family means for us, for your mental and physical survival, the system will continue to oppress and control.
Yeah, well, you know, the system's being played on our backs.
Oh, yeah.
And all we got to do, it's a game, but it's being played on our back. And if you don't want to play the game no more, all you got to do is stand up. Game's over.
Did you see the image of the Monopoly game someone drew? They drew an image of the Monopoly game, and had all white men were sitting around the table. You know, you're just playing Monopoly, moving it around. But then the Monopoly game itself, the board, was sitting on the backs of like 12 black men who were holding the board up.
Wow. I didn't see that.
That's powerful. And it says a real message.
That's crazy. But that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very factual, you know? I don't know. I just feel like we need to. Our problem is we're so fragmented. Yeah. And we're fragmented because of culture too. Culture. I'm going to go back to culture. I really want to dig back into culture. You know, I'm unapologetically proud to say I'm a foundational Black American. You know, I make no problem saying that. I celebrate my ancestors. You know, like I've never abandoned my ancestry. My ancestry never abandoned me. I didn't flee a country to go somewhere else. This is my country. This is my country before the European came here. However, I do have love for the diaspora. Sometimes I wonder if the diaspora has love for us. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. These are family issues that we need to work out. One of my biggest problems, one of my biggest pet peeves is the fact that we're not represented. So you'll look at other groups, you know, you said most people will refer to themselves as minority or people of color or brown. With all of those things, you know what they have in common? They want to distinguish themselves away from my ancestry. And so I've been said to have been xenophobic. I've been accused of being xenophobic and I probably am, because the second you distinguish yourself away from me, I've distinguished myself away from you forever. So I had put up a post, and it made the suspected white supremacists upset, but it also made the minorities upset. So what I posted was that Eric Adams is out. I said I put a post saying something. I'm paraphrasing. I forgot what I put, but something to the effect that Eric Adams is already getting points with me because he's appointing black people in these top positions, and it's angering the white supremacists and the minority minions, and the minorities were coming after me in my inbox left and right. You know, most of them I could care nothing about. Maybe one or two really, you know, I would pick up the phone and just have a real conversation with them and say, look, this is what it is. But what it has to become is we're on one accord. And the problem with that is other groups want to take the lead for a narrative that you're eating off of my narrative.
Yeah.
The narrative that you're eating off of, whatever you get as a minority, you're getting it based off of foundational black Americans' sacrifice.
Yeah.
And you don't want to give us credit. And it's partially their fault, but it's partially not. It's mostly ignorance, but some of them do know better and they choose to not do better. And the reason why I say that is because when you become a citizen, so those that have become a citizen, this is one of the things I'm going to fight and try to change, especially as a veteran. As a citizen, you take a test. Basically, it's like a history test. And in that history, as much as we've done for this country, Benjamin Banneker laid out Washington, D.C. because he had a photostat memory, and he was able to finish. He looked at the blueprint and he memorized it.
Right.
You know, when you look at the clock in England, what's that big clock?
Big man.
They named it after Benjamin Banneker.
Yeah.
They don't tell you that.
Right.
So other countries will pay homage to us, but this country, there's not one question or answer that says foundational black Americans contributed anything to this country. So when other groups come here, they look at us like you're lazy. You don't take advantage of opportunity. You're shiftless. You're this. You're that. And it's because part of it is the government, and they give them this little backdoor footage, propaganda to stay away from us, to keep us separated. Yeah. See, a unified black is it ends their reign if we're unified.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And when I say white supremacist, it's not to say all white people are white supremacists.
True.
I suspect they all are, but until they give me, I suspect they are, but until they give me evidence, you know, they'll be suspected white supremacists. You know what I mean? But so, I mean, those are the things I want to fight for. But back to, I kind of danced around, you know, not much has changed. I dance around. I got a whole bunch of thoughts. This thing is so therapeutic for me. I forget how therapeutic Millennium TV has been, and letting me come up here and discuss my opinions for the most part, or you know, different things that I have a take on that may be different from yours. That also is centered in the news. Did you see what Shalimar, the guard, was talking to the vice president? Did you see that?
I missed that one. Talk to me.
I only caught a bit of it. I only caught like a little piece of it. Whatever he said to her, man, she...
Oh my goodness.
She turned into Keisha. You know what I mean? Shout out to Charlemagne the God, man. Like, I mean, he kept it official. And you know, that's the kind of news that we need. I mean, we have one-sided news. We have one-sided views. Obviously, my views are way different than everyone else's, and they're not popular. And I suspect Facebook has kind of found a way to keep me quiet, because I'll put up, well, I just got out of Facebook jail. Did I tell you why I was in Facebook jail?
Talk to us.
And you tell me if I should have been in Facebook jail for this. And shame on you, Facebook. I put up a post saying, shout out to all the KKK members who have mixed grandchildren.
Wow.
It was meant to be a joke, but
Yeah.
a lot of them do.
Oh,
But a lot of them do. You know what I mean? You spend all this time trying to hate on us, but your children love us. I mean, come on, give me a break.
Speaking of breaks.
Yeah, speaking of breaks, we're going to take one right now. Thanks a lot, Mr. K. Yeah, this is Cap and No Cap. We'll be right back.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
We're back. Cap or no cap. We just having a little bit fun, you know. Shame on you, Facebook, but I'd rather mess with you than Instagram. That's just me being old. All right, I don't look it, but I am. All right, so let me see what else has been going on. Let's talk about Mayor de Blasio. He's leaving soon. I can't wait. Oh my gosh, bro. And you know what's weird? Like I met the guy a couple of times, you know, and when I met him, I think he was in a different space or something like that. I was like, oh, he's pretty cool. Mr. King, I despise this man with a lot of my fiber. I despise him, especially his stance with the experimental injections that everyone is mandated to get. Primarily because he has no other claim to his fame. He's, in my humblest opinion, has been the worst mayor we have ever produced, and he's worse than Rudolph Giuliani. And I don't think I'd ever say that. I didn't think anyone would ever be, you know, worse than Rudolph Giuliani. But I think Mayor de Blasio is worse than Rudolph Giuliani, and the experimental injections is the only thing that he's going to say that he's been tough on, and he's mandated for the city, and it's now actually coming down and it's spilling over towards me. You know, I have to sit down and come up with some real hardline decisions about what I'm going to do. One, you know, my faith doesn't really sit well with this as well either. A lot of people think, you know, everyone was using the whole religious exemption, but it makes it bad for people that really do believe this. You know what I mean? Like, if I needed blood, right, I won't take that either.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I don't know what people's faith system is, but whatever it is, blood is something you're not supposed to take.
Correct.
You know, so I believe it's in the scripture somewhere, isn't it?
It is.
Do you know where it is?
I can't recall where the scripture is of not taking any blood of any animal or yourself.
Okay.
But when you talk about faith, this is one of those things that when you're talking about a country and now the entire world of those who will leave the world, if you don't have any faith, if you don't have any spirituality, and I want people to be real clear, there's a difference between being religious and having spirituality. People can quote scripture, psalms, sing it all day long, but
truth.
then walk in wickedness and engage in wicked activities, engage in wicked talk and wicked walks. So when we start talking about people's faith, no politician should ever determine someone's spirituality. That's something from another higher plane that we all believe in, from the money that they print out every day to when they want to have big meetings, they're grabbing all these pastors, rabbis, and everything. And then now when people are calling on their faith, you want to ignore faith that actually exists in anybody because, again, this jab that you've been experimenting on, and today, still, I got to ask the question because I haven't heard, and when you start talking about the HIPAA law, that's one thing that should never gotten violated. But also, how do you tell somebody to put something in their bodies that has been proven not to do what you said it was designed to do on day one?
Right.
You're up to shot number 4 right now, and I'm questioning it because I've never known anybody to take 4 shots for the measles or take 3 shots for the mumps. Right. So I'm just asking us, where do we find some sensibility in all of this? Because the people who are complaining, the people you keep testing and say who are positive for this and positive for that, are the people fully vaccinated. Now, I haven't heard, and I don't know everyone who's not unvaccinated. I don't know. I don't want to know. But you don't hear them out here complaining about anything. It's the people who have gotten fully vaccinated or the people who are transmitting this or, or saying they're sick. I'm like, so something is off and something is wrong when you're promoting something. I just ask the system, what is the end game here? Whether it's population control or just trying to identify where everybody is, or the movie I saw, I go to Hollywood one time, there was a movie called The Klansman, The Secret Service, The Kingsman, The Secret Service. And Samuel L. Jackson was the villain of that, and he was this high-tech guy. Okay. And he had put a message in a chip that went out to all cell phones, all electronics. And when he pressed that button, everybody went into crazy mode. He would press it again, and everybody just be, so they were controlling people by what they have put into people already from just the technology that was created from it. And this movie came out maybe about 7 years ago.
You know what else is crazy? When I look at the movie with Will Smith, I Am Legend, I look at it a little different now. You know what I mean? And there's a movie it was Justin Timberlake, which really, really reminds me, not to put on another tinfoil kufi, but it was called Out of Time. And check that movie out, Out of Time, with Justin Timberlake. Yeah, so and it all goes back kind of to these vax in a certain way, Yeah. It's real weird, but I'm like, the city came out with this mandate that they wanted everyone vaccinated by December 27th. No religious exemption. You know what I mean? I also believe no medical exemption. Now, how do you do that? How do you not? If I don't take blood, and you know what I mean? How do you make it where I'm supposed to? My issue with it is that there's fetal stem cells in these vaccinations. And in order to get fetal stem cells, you had to have an abortion. It goes against my belief.
Right.
You know what I mean? So how do you justify giving me something that goes against my belief when we're supposed to be a country that is ran? My question is, are we or are we not under the Constitution of the United States? Obviously we're not. We're not being governed by the Constitution of the United States. I really don't believe we are.
No, I have to agree with you because those elected officials that are in office now, they're ignoring and breaking rules. And the only way we can hope and pray that there can be some balance is the judicial system stands up for what the forefathers of this country put together. And again, I'm not advocating for yes, no, the rights and the wrongs, but you put a document together that you held everybody accountable for hundreds of years. Right. And now how all of a sudden it's invalid right now because of what? Again, it goes back, what is the end game? Because all the millions of dollars from Moderna and Janssen and Pfizer, the billions of dollars that was put out there, the constant messaging that goes on there. I would say this all could possibly make sense if you allow fair conversations. And
It's a one-way
yeah,
conversation.
it's a one-sided
Because
conversation.
even if you say a certain word that starts with a letter V, you shadow banned, you're removed, you know what I mean? So we have to even find words around it like experimental injections. But at the end of the day, in the bottom line, you know, that's what these are. And between these experimental injections having stem cells, embryonic stem cells, you know, like they love people that are that have taken these experimental injections love to say, well, follow the science. You have to follow the science.
Yeah.
So if I'm following the science, right, the first thing that I gotta say to myself is the science is inconclusive.
Right.
So if the science is as long as the science is inconclusive, me taking the experimental injection should be voluntary.
Right.
Period.
Right.
And it's very the science is very inconclusive, you know, so I don't know. But it looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulty, so I'm gonna take a real quick break, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna jump right back into that conversation.
Okay.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
And I think it was too important not to hear it twice. You know, sometimes when you're learning things, you're hearing things for the first time, you need to hear it more than once so you can digest. So you can just go back over what you were just sharing in regards to the jab and the responses that this world is doing. Right
So
now.
basically what I was saying is that the science for this is very inconclusive. And as long as the science is inconclusive, me taking the experimental injection should be optional. It shouldn't be mandatory. And keep in mind, a mandate isn't a law. And this is why I get really angry with Mayor de Blasio and this fake governor. You know, now I'm starting to think they really had to get Cuomo out the paint to do what they're doing. You see the slide of the hand, the three card Monty, so to speak. You know, while they are mandating this, a mandate is nothing more, nothing less than a recommendation. It's not a law. Only Congress can write laws.
Right.
You can recommend all you want. You know, but you know what they're doing is they're using, now they're probably scaring private companies, the private sector, or either they're scaring them, what you better do, especially if you're receiving funding,
Right.
what we're going to do to you,
Right.
or they're rewarding them for making sure that they follow the agenda. And either way, it's what you're doing is really you're hurting the people. And I just wish there was a level of understanding that people like myself could appeal to the conscience of. Unvaccinated people are not a threat to vaccinated people. Most people that you see that are making up new cases are actually vaccinated with both vaccines. I've been unvaxxed for this whole duration, and I had to take weekly COVID tests, which I submitted faithfully, without failure. Well, let me go give, faithfully, and I've gotten negative results. I can't say to some of my comrades at work that were fully vaccinated, and I didn't mean to use the V word because I don't want to get banned or anything, but that have taken the experimental injection, they have come down with COVID. Yeah. They have cases of COVID. So what are we really doing here? You know what I mean? So if taking these experimental injections doesn't really, it's always like you move the goalpost. Take it, it'll prevent you from getting it. Oh, no, you still get it? Well, it'll prevent you from having hard symptoms. What if you're asymptomatic? This is why I say the science is inconclusive. You can't say, I'm going to suffer less because you don't know what my body is capable of.
Exactly.
I could be asymptomatic.
Exactly.
And not even have a booger. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I mean, so then you move the goalposts again, and you're saying, well, it's to protect others. Okay, so let me put on sunglasses because me wearing sunglasses is going to protect your eyes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
And so when you start to debunk this, this is what makes it inconclusive. So I don't know what we're doing. I just think that they wanted it done by December 27th. The U.S. Supreme Court is supposed to listen to this argument on January 7th. They could either gut it or they could strike it down in its entirety. But then de Blasio, he's like the biggest idiot. How tall is he?
About 6'7".
6'7", 6'8"?
6'7". Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know manure could be stacked so hard. So he'll turn around and say, well, look, it doesn't matter what the Supreme Court said. We got everyone vaccinated.
Yeah.
That's not democracy.
Right.
That is not democracy. That is a dictatorship. And if you're gonna allow it done on this level, if you're gonna allow this to be done on this level, watch your rights. You're signing your rights away. I'm guaranteeing you this, because this is a litmus test of how can I take your rights away from you.
It's a good observation and a good analyzing of the whole scenario. So, but I pray for our next mayor when he does come in, that, and I just send the message out that he's going to be the mayor of everyone. And he's not the mayor of the vaccinated and the unvaxxed. He's the mayor of everyone. And I pray that his decision making and the team that he's around him don't get caught up in the messaging of somebody else who created the message before he got in there, and then all of a sudden he's never feel like his hands is tied. As the strength that he comes in as law enforcement, strong brother, I'm looking for that type of individual to walk in, not someone who's going to just continue on the same road that we've been on that's hurt so many New Yorkers. And I stop with this. The craziest thing about all of this is that you took people's livelihood. This mayor, this administration, they took people's livelihoods away. And we're talking about not just black folks, New Yorkers. Right. You took away people's livelihood because they didn't want to literally just conform to your dictatorship.
And the crazy thing is that's what I'm faced with about having to take this experimental injection. Now, if I do decide to take it, I'll be honest with you, Mr. King, I'm gonna do the most blackest thing you could ever think of. I'm taking Johnson & Johnson, one and done. That's the blackest thing I'm gonna ever do. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna give you this. They pulled Johnson & Johnson's off. Johnson & Johnson was known to create blood clots. My wife took it and almost died.
Oh wow.
Her insides exploded. Her case was at the CDC, but these are the stories they're not telling you about. The people who really got sick because they had no idea what this injection was going to do. Mm-hmm. You have people currently today, you can go in any drugstore and get a shot. You go to a community center and get a shot. I heard this morning you could get in at a train station or get I'm like, seriously, they were treating what they were putting in people like they was giving out ice cream. You know, so I'm saying, you know, it's demoralizing that they do this to people because you have no idea what it's going to do to people's bodies because everybody's body is made up differently. Again, you have not heard any unvaccinated person complaining about themselves. Right. It's all the vaccinated people. I don't understand why no one can see this or hear this or even have this conversation.
They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. They only care about their own interest. And so that's where we're at. And they try to use their interest. They'll project their interest as it's for the betterment of everybody when it's their interest.
That's the thing that I go on and chuckle of the ignorance of the people who are supposed to be credible messengers. I listen to government officials. Oh, I am fully vaccinated and I caught COVID and I had to stay away from family members. I feel so bad, but you still need to go take your shot because it's the best thing for you. Wait a minute, hold on. Did you just tell me your whole world just fell apart and you're fully vaccinated? Right. You're fully shot up? Right. But you're going to tell me to go take it. I'm like, it doesn't make sense, the conversations of the people who are the messengers. It's like, hey, you're telling me my foot is broken, but I'm running a 40-yard dash in 4.6. I'm jumping, touching. I can jump 5 feet off the ground, mm-hmm. and I'm walking. I can still do it. I can do this, the Tennessee waltz. But you're telling me I got a broken foot. So that's why I'm like confused. If someone's not sick and no one's not injured, stop telling people you're sick and injured because you're trying to tell them they're sick and injured. I say to anybody, if you are sick, you should be staying home anyway. Anyway, right? You know, so don't put people in this phantom position. You know that because they have no symptoms that they are sick.
You know who the biggest hold? You know what group is the biggest holdout rate in with these experimental injections? Foundational Black Americans, because we've never see. We got to come on, family. We got to get into the history of this, man. All right, we act as if Tuskegee was that. First of all, we act like Tuskegee was such a long time ago. It wasn't. Right. It really was kind of yesterday, right? And the medical industry has never gone on record or has ever tried to build a bridge or a gap of the mistrust between foundational Black Americans and the medical field. And let's be clear, Tuskegee was one of many experiments.
Exactly.
You wouldn't have health insurance today. Health insurance today comes directly out of slavery. A lot of people don't know that. So, you know, they get the same minions to these when you have an agenda and you need to push it, and these suspected white supremacists and eugenicists, they use the same ploy, the same tactic.
Right.
Let's give it how they're going to give it to the Black population. Mm-hmm. You know how they do it? And it's sad, it's heartbreaking. They do it through the Black church. Okay. They fund Black pastors. They get the Black pastors to come up there and say, you know, talk to their congregation, brainwash them, say this is what you need, you know, and they're doing all of this in Jesus' name, and let's tell the truth and shame the devil. Jesus don't have no knowledge about none of this. Like, all right, so like let's stop that. Let's stop that. Let's stop that right now. And the same people that are pro-vaccine, right? Try not to use the word. That's pro experimental injection are the same people that'll fight you over Planned Parenthood. Oh no, Planned Parenthood is great. People go there, they get medical service and da 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 da. And we shouldn't be celebrating Planned Parenthood because Margaret Sanger, who founded Planned Parenthood, was a eugenicist. Okay? If you've noticed, you got to follow these white supremacists, Mr. King. Procter and Gamble, they were eugenicists. That was Margaret Sanger's people. And you'll find Procter and Gamble, you might find Procter and Gamble somewhere in these experimental injections. They're eugenicists. Right. Do you know what Planned Parenthood was called before it was called Planned Parenthood?
Educate us.
And you could Google this. It's called the Negro Project. Google that. Margaret Sanger, the Negro Project. And so you got to ask yourself, you know, if it's white, it's right. And we got to get that mentality out. You got to act like black people, but we were thinking before white people even exist.
Yeah, and we built this world. And people got to really recognize the strength of it. You mentioned earlier, come the month of February, they talk about the 5 black faces they want people to pay attention to, but they will never tell you about the person who made the iron board, or created the first open heart surgery, or the filament in the light bulb, you know, or the washing machine.
Well, they won't tell you who the wealthiest man on the planet was a black man named Mansa Musa. Yeah. So they won't tell you that. Yeah, you know what I mean? So we got to start taking a value of ourselves. You know, Black folk need a Dr. Fauci of their own to debunk Dr. Fauci, because Dr. Fauci's a liar. You know, follow the science. Just give me another scientist that's willing to debunk Dr. Fauci. There's a lot of them. They keep them hidden. Oh, yeah. They shadow ban them. They make them crazy. Fauci's a liar. I mean, hey, what I'm saying may be falling on deaf ears, but it makes me, I feel better. So.
Well, I don't think you're falling on deaf ears. I think it gives people an opportunity to hear the perspective of that there are choices out there. And what has happened during this pandemic is that choices have been taken away from people. Whether or not you want to take the jab or not take the jab, or just rely on your own natural immune system, that has been proven to work. Even their own science, they use their own science. They will tell you 99% of the people who've caught this virus have successfully gone through it and been okay. Those who have passed away from the COVID virus had a number of other issues going on with their body. That narrative has gotten lost with just take the jab. You know, so when I was in office, when COVID actually hit, I was getting calls from people who were really angry and bothered because they had a father who died from a brain aneurysm, or their great-grandfather had a heart attack, and they wanted to attach COVID to it when there was no COVID in the body at all. So that says to me there was a big agenda when this first came out, that we weren't dealing in real truths. So people, do your homework, listen to the facts, and then figure out how to stand up. Because the first thing you do right now, if you want to change the mindset and cultures and the rights of people, you start taking away from them. You create a scenario to start taking. Today, they're taking away our rights to figure out to control our own bodies. Tomorrow, they're going to take away the rights of to even have bodies with our own children. So I say we got to be that much more greater and better, and be that much more educated, and not be like herds being led to a slaughter, because you're not going to be here in 99 years, but your offsprings will be here. And at this rate, you know, between what's the Matrix and all those other ones, when they were breeding kids genetically breeding people. So
in a farm.
Yeah. At the end of the day, is that where we're headed? Well, if human beings ain't going to stand up for being human, where are we going to go? AI is going to take over.
Right. So, hey, look. Hey, wow. I knew this was gonna happen. So we're probably at the end of the show. I want to thank you. It was always great. You know, I'm glad you came down. Sorry, out here talking to myself. People think I'm crazy. I want to thank Mr. King, who comes out here, and he's my special host, and he does it so selflessly. I also want to thank Millennium TV 24. You can download them on Apple, Android, all your regular devices. We're on Roku, Apple, and so forth. I always get this part like really tangled up. But yeah, download us, watch us, and advertise with us. It's okay. We do like advertisement. And thank all of the people that are watching. It really made me feel good knowing that someone actually saw me on the train and recognized me, because no one ever recognizes me. And he actually recognized me with a mask on. So, but I don't know if me having a cap or no cap.
That's because you got that cap.
Right. I didn't have no cap. Right. I didn't have no cap on. But this is Kevin C. Meggett, Mr. King. We're honored to be here. We are honored to give you this information. Until next week, you be safe. Peace.